Hi there. I've got this painting that I've done. I think I must have done it as part of a demonstration for something. And it's got some textures going on. There's a few things stuck into it. But I think overall it's a little bit dark. And I decided I wanted to change it and just do something a bit more interesting with it. So I'm going to collage some things into it. I've got all sorts here. I've got some beads. I've got some raffia and sisal. And some bits of lace. So I'm going to start off doing something with some of this, and I'm going to put this over the sort of background sky area. So let me just take this. Sharper scissors would help. I might double this over in a minute, but we'll see. I just want to start with this piece up here. Now, because the lace is so transparent and got plenty of holes in it, I can put the glue on top, and I'm using Pebio's Bindex Studio here. This goes on milky, but it does dry clear. Now, would this be easier to put on underneath? Let's have a try. It goes on there nice and easily. Let's put that down. Yeah, that's much easier. Okay, I was trying to be smart and I was not. Putting this down. It's quite a strong glue, I know that, so you don't actually need loads of it. Do I want to double layer that? It might be quite nice just to lighten things up a little bit more. Okay, so I've put that down. I think I might double up on that. So let me cut the shape I want. Now, I got all of this lace from a fabric mill, and this was like offcuts and end of ranges, so I didn't actually have to pay all that much for this. I just want to offset it. You've got these shapes coming in here, and I want to try and make sure that these ones are offset from it. Now, this layer is going to be slightly harder to glue because the other one, the glue is going on a flat surface, and here it's going on a textured surface. So I might have to play with it a little bit more. Oh, I had it that way, didn't I? So just trying to make sure I offset those flowers. I'm going to have to put a bit more down just to hold it in place. It's perfectly strong enough to hold it, it's just holding it long enough for the glue to set, particularly like here where my fabric is a little bit folded and wrinkled. Maybe I should have ironed it first, but I didn't. It's already lightened up that background, which I quite like. I've got a whole load of these different laces, so I'm going to be Putting a whole load of these down. Okay, so I've stuck this bit in my sky area. I'm just going to start building the layers. I'm probably going to paint back over some of this, but I just want to get layers of this lace. I bought it in a job lot, and I think if I put a grey there and then perhaps add a bit of this stronger blue over the top, I think that could be quite interesting. So let's cut that to size. So I've just cut this shape here. I'm going to have that going there. Going to make sure, because this top layer is over other lace, I'm just going to make sure there's plenty of the Bindex on there. And then all these little bits that I'm cutting off, I'm saving. I'm sure I will use them at some point. Okay, let's work on this side and I will do something similar. So let's take just have a smaller bit of the blue here. That fits in nicely, that little scrap, so let's do those two. Off that little peak. To sort of tuck in behind my rock here. Right, now I need to have a think about what I'm going to use for the water. I think I've decided on the water to use this. The turquoise will still show through, but it's just got this little bit of sparkle going on. So let's position this and then cut it to shape. And yes, I know I need sharper scissors. I know. You should know my scissors get used for all sorts of things. So the poor things don't stand a chance, really. Okay, let's glue this one down. It's so much easier when it's just onto the paper. This is on an acrylic paper than when I've layered. What I want to do is just get those sparkles in straight lines so that the water is flat. Oops. Just go and have a look and see what I can put down on my rocks next. So I've picked out this bit of lace and going to come in. I'm probably going to do, I'm going to separate them out. That's better for that bit there. Now this obviously does have a back and a front. This has got more of a satin finish. That's supposedly the back, but I don't mind either side for what I'm doing. So I think I'm going to put this one this way up. I think I might put a bit of this just down here as well. suspect that's probably enough lace. It's almost totally covered in lace. Clean my brush out, and then I have to start deciding how and where I'm going to use other things, like do I put this down as my tree trunk, or do I use a ribbon? Got some of this sisal. I think the sisal would work quite well for the trees in the background. So let's take a bit of that. Okay. Thought I was going to do more thinking. I'm going straight in. Just pulled that up, so let's make sure that's... I should really wait till everything is dry, but I'm too impatient. So in this instance, because everything's not dry, I'm just putting a bit of glue actually on the sisal itself. I think what I'm going to have to do is wait till that background is dry. Oh, for the impatience of it. Right, I'm going to stop there for a minute and just dry this off. Right, I've dried this background off a bit, and I didn't put the sisal on just yet, but I've decided that because there's no rules in what I'm doing, I feel like adding a bit more paint to this background before I come forward. So I'm coming in with some acrylic, and I can just dab that onto the lace and just change that edge so it's not just a flat colour, and then that shows the next layer up in front a little more. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but the whole thing is just a playtime. And I wanted to make it, I felt the original was a little dark, so I wanted to make it a little lighter, and it already is. So I want to have a few things on the edge there, so I'm going to make a sort of slightly purpley colour, if I've got enough paint in my pan. Yeah, I'm liking this, adding a little bit of colour to it. I'm more in my comfort zone because that's what I normally do, is painting. So I just need to go and grab some more paints. Back in a tick. Okay, so I've grabbed a couple more colours. And we're going to do now up here I had sort of shrubs and bushes and trees that were quite sort of warm in colour and purple, and want to kind of bring a little bit of that back into it. but I don't want to lose all of the lace. That was the point of putting it there, I want it there. Now I feel this line is a little solid, so again I'm just going to break some of the edge of that and take some of this blue and here it did tuck down into something quite light at the base towards the water's edge there. Again, like some of these rocks, there was some lighter bits. Bring my water pot a bit nearer, it would help. I'm going to dull just a little tiny bit of sparkle on the edge there, like the sparkle we've got going along there. That'll do. Right, I need to fade this down, so I shall start with some dark at the bottom. And bring that up. So it's not such a stark sort of no lace. Now the thing with acrylic paint, I don't know what I've done there, but I'm going to go with it, is the thing with acrylic paint is it's basically glue and colour. So if there's any little bits that you need to re-stick, you can do that with the paint as well as with the glue. But obviously the paint is not transparent, so when you're initially putting things down, you do need the glue because it is so beautifully transparent. I'm going to stick loads of grasses and things down there. Now, do I paint? Let me get some purples going. A few of my trees here. Going across that lace. And then I can try and stick some sisal bits down, or wool or something on top of that. I think wool would probably be better. I just have to go and find some wool. quite happy with that bit. Let's have a little bit of think about different bits of tree. Not quite sure what this is I'm using, but it's obviously something to do with dressmaking. It's a type of something or other, some stiffening or something like that. Yeah, this works. This works. Just twisting it a little bit so they're thinner. I'm going to put some in that come down a little bit further as well. See how stuck up I'm getting with this all now. I need to go and wash my hands really. Now down in the foreground I want to add all sorts of things like these beads. Oh, there's a little bit of gold cord, and I've got some more of that gold cord. Let's just start getting a few of these in. some safety pins attached to these beads. They were put together for some jewellery we were doing at one point. And the Bindex would absolutely hold all of this. I've got a black bead. I'm going to think about where I'm going to position that. This is going to go over my water area. Come on, turn over. There we go. I've got a few little bits of this lurking. Don't misbehave. It's a lovely bead. There's a little bit of colour there that goes with. Got another nice bead here. Quite like that as part of the rock. Yeah, I'm going to put that way up as part of the rock. Totally not relevant, but I'm going to put it in anyway. See which side is flattest. I think you are. Some more of these safety pins. Another little bit of this gold. Got bits of gold leaf which I don't really want to cover over, but I've got other beads to go with the gold leaf. I've got a nice gold bead here. Where should we pop that? Let's have that one down there. Did I even glue that one down? I don't think I did. Let's have that one coming down from that bead. What other beads have we got here? Got another one of these. Some nice red glass beads. Little plastic star bead. But again, I think it goes quite nicely with the fact that we've got this gold leaf on there. Just picks up on that. It's not a realistic painting. It's an interesting painting, I hope. Got this bead. See if we can find a home for that. Another black one that I'm just going to pop in there. Got some really chunky ones, which I think are probably too chunky. They're chunkier than the safety pins. This is going to be where my big tree comes up, so I'm leaving that for a minute. So let's just put a few odd things in odd places. I've got another one of these, which I quite like. I quite like those dipping over into the water. Just going to split the top of this a little bit, and hopefully I'll be able to glue that open if it lets me. It should stay there. Again, I'm reaching the point where I'm moving stuff, so I think I need to let that all dry off before I come and put a few more bits on. But just before I do that, where I've got this, I'm going to find, I've got some little spaces that I can just drop in a few shiny beads. I need to find a few shiny beads. Ooh, found another safety pin. Rather than wasting the glue, I'm just going to put this down and then find my shiny beads to drop in. Got a little bag here of some shiny beads. Don't know where that came from, but let's leave it in there. I'm just going to use a bamboo stick to push the little shiny beads into the glue. Right, so I'm just looking for loose, and any that come off I can just put back in the bag, it's fine. It's just, they won't come off the glue, it's just whether I've left some that are not glued down. I heard a couple of beads. There they are. So we're carrying on here. This isn't quite dried yet, but I've had a cuppa, so I'm going to put in this big trunk and see where we go. I'm going to use some more of this, I'm calling it scrim, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. So this is probably going to need some glue below and above it. I'm going to take it right down into here and bring it up here. So I'm going to put some on first. Let's start putting this in. I want it to join up with that raffia. I'm sort of scrunching it up to give me a bit of sort of bark-like texture. And once that's dry, I'll cut that little spare bit off the top. Coming up here and layering, I don't need quite so much of that. Appears to have glued a piece of wool in. Oh, let's take it out and use it in a minute. And once this is dry, I will be putting a bit of colour onto this. Okay, you want to go down there, do you? Well, we'll put you up there then. I'm not going to argue with you girls. Okay, so we've got that bit of tree in. And a strand of wool. I've got a few things that I don't know where they've come from, but they've appeared, so let's use them. just before I do much more, I just want to do a little bit more with paint. Excuse me. Possibly still a bit wet. I'm going to do some anyway, so it's using a mixture of umber and red gold. A bit more of the red gold. Putting a little bit more shade underneath here. So some of the red gold and some white. Sort of echoing the raffia. So it's got two different dimensions. It's got the full raffia and then it's also got this painted version. Now I've got these two as like rocks going down around the water. Guess I could do this one as well. Where's this foreground with some pebbles and things. Little glade, I think that's what it'll end up being, just a little. Now this little bead keeps rolling around, so I think it wants to be part of the story. Let's put you next to that one so you've got a friend.